Oh, I didn't plug it in. Hey, I see Fish and Golf already has first blood. Good on you. Good morning, guys. Your Majesty's joined us already, and I see Larry Nivel watching from YouTube. I imagine I'll see that name pop up coming from Rumble in a minute as well, because Larry is notorious about doing double duty, and I appreciate that. All right. Let me adjust that microphone position a little bit, and then let's do it. Good morning, guys. It is Monday morning. I'm going to tell you what, I was looking at the news earlier. I want to do the Mellow Mondays. I do. And as I was looking at the news earlier, all I could think is, the Brits they chose safety. It's not working out for them. Thought, this is not going to make for a mellow morning conversation. So, I'm just not going to talk about the news. I'm not gonna mess with the news today. I want to keep it mellow. I want to have a good morning. I got some business to handle today. We got to go. Got to take the kids and go out to the base. Deal with military benefits stuff, and I'm sure that's going to be totally uneventful. And then we're going to go have a good lunch and have a nice day. So, instead of talking about the news this morning, I'm going to brag a little bit because hey, I got a cool thing, and we're going to play with a new toy. So there's this new software, relatively new software, and let's see if they'll let me show you the intro. Their intro. Oh, come on, guys. Funny thing, apparently they won't let me watch their intro video now that I'm in the program. So basically, there's this new company called LTX Studios, and they make an AI powered tool for filmmakers. And I'm just gonna demo it. I'm just gonna show you how it works. So here it is. I've been playing with it a little bit. I've done 2 different iterations of playing with the Pizza Ninja story, but quite simply, you pop it open. You say, okay, I'm gonna write a prompt. But first, wait. I gotta acknowledge these. Dad says your boy should get credit for a class in civics when they watch the Brushfire Mind. That's deeply flattering, especially coming from my old man. For those of you who may not know, His Majesty is literally the name on the book. When you're reading the FMs on, or I'm sorry, the ARs on Recruit. So it's like that. So let's see. Write your film idea or synopsis. So basically, you put in here, and I'll apologize ahead of time. A lot of the stuff in here that that's really giving me the tweaks, that's really blowing my mind, is stuff that's kind of deep in the weeds. You might not appreciate it sufficiently. Uh, you might not appreciate it sufficiently if you're not familiar with filmmaking. Dave, I'm sorry, real quick. Okay, I see Dave Bowen says, I still don't see the artillery bottle opener guy on the All American shelf. Oh, no, not yet. And the thing is, you sent me two of them, and I've got them both in one of these boxes somewhere in here that I haven't found them yet. I've still got stacks of boxes that just haven't been opened yet, Dave. And I think that ended up in one of the boxes with the books that were on the shelf next to the desk at the old place. So as soon as I find them, I'll put as soon as I find the one that's still in the packaging. That's the one that I want to hang up on the shelf. It'll be either up here next to one of the Trump hats or over here next to the 1776% sure I'm not losing my guns tag. So I ain't forgot about you. I haven't found it yet. They're somewhere in here. And yeah, one was to use. That's right. That's why that one's still. And I don't know where that one ended up. We've still got boxes to go through. It's been an adventure. So anyway, we need a story. Let's see. An alien invasion has begun. The aliens are genderless rays here to subvert all that is. Let's see, are genderless grays with blue heads. They mean to install a one world utopian government. They live in pods and eat bugs. American patriots rise up to combat the, y'all are gonna love this, Saurians. We'll go with that. It says one world should be hyphenated, and watch this shit. You'll note I didn't create any characters in here. I described the general idea. Let's see what happened. Well, it's going to take it just a second to generate that. And while it's doing that, Tim Lowry says, I'm impressed with the Scary Black Rifle collection. Pew pew. Full disclosure, 249, 240 Bravo, M729. There's the multiple rocket launcher, or multiple grenade launcher, rather. And then those are various AR platforms, except for the, nope. Yeah, those are all ARs. I thought the one on the end was a SCAR, but I've got that fan in the way. No, those are all ARs. But these are all airsoft guns. So, full disclosure, all airsoft guns. My real rifles stay in the house. Okay, so it came up with this. Now it's got this thing here where I can drag an image, and use that as a style reference. I tried that with a picture of Steve and I for Steve Rodemeyer and I for one of the other ones, and it got weird. It got weird. But So it pops it up. It's got this overview that it's written in a small town. American patriots Sam and Mia unite against the invading Saurians. Genderless Greys seeking to impose a one-world government using courage and technology. They lead a spirited resistance, activating a device to disrupt the aliens and rallying their community to fight back, ultimately preserving their freedom. And we can pick one of them and edit the character that it came up with. We could change, uh, we could change the appearance. Like for example, it just decided to make her African. Let's see what happens if we just delete that descriptor. Hey, look at that. What do you know? So it has to go out of its way to. So that tells us a little bit of something about the people involved in programming it, but uh, it it really did. I mean, that's quite a lot of useful work that was done by the computer there. But watch this. Now that I've tweaked the characters a little bit, I can always go back and tweak them some more. Uh, Now it's gonna run the thinky again. It's a real dinkum thinkum like Michael. That is a reference not to my son, but to the moon is a harsh mistress. If anybody caught that one, you are reading the right stuff. And then boom, check this shit out. And like I said, some of this isn't going to blow everybody's skirt up because there's a lot going on here that is behind the scenes, important, significant filmmaking stuff that's just, but for somebody who understands what they're looking at, this is mind blowing. And honestly, for somebody who's not real deep in the weeds, remember, I typed what, 2 or 3 sentences, and it has generated, for one, let's look at the preview. I can. Oh yeah, and for each one of these, I can generate video. So like right here, I can click on generate video. You see the little unverified says welcome to the post-reality timeline. See, I do agree, Bear. And here's my general critique. I've said this before. Here's my general position, my general understanding of what AI is. Much like many other technologies that came before, the fact that there are concerns. I have some very serious concerns about how artificial intelligence will impact our world going forward. Okay, I really do. I have some concerns about what it's going to mean for the future of work for young people. Um, I have concerns about how it's going to affect jobs that currently exist. People are going to lose. Some people are going to lose jobs because they're replaced by this kind of technology. I have these concerns. However, it is also the case that the technology exists, and it it would be nearly impossible to go out there and stop it. The, Shutting it down is almost undoable. Um, so there's that, and then the fact is, it's very useful if you can make use of it. I believe there's money to be made making use of it. Now, a tool like this, what this does, if functionally, is it saves me time, energy, and money. Saves me from having to hire certain people in the production process. Some, not all of whom, but some of whom are the kinds of jobs that are created by unnecessary duplication of effort. I hope, excuse me, excuse me, I hope that the unnecessary duplication of effort thing gets solved somewhat by technology like this. But let's be reasonable, let's be real, and understand that it will be a problem in the future. But check this out. Like this is a little piece of video. It's primitive, right? This is kind of primitive AI generated video. but it's very useful for uh, for the purposes of doing the creative visualization and producing the storyline. So what it has done for me here, scene one, the camera pans across a quiet town as alien pods descend from the sky, casting shadows. It has summarized and created a shot list, a timeline, so I can come through here as a filmmaker and I can say, okay, all these shots right here happen in one location. Now, before I plan on shooting these shots, let me look. Okay, these shots in scene 2 all happen in that same location. Scene 3 and 4 don't. Scene 5 is a different location, and scene 6 is a different. Okay, so scene 5 and 6 are similar location. So I could shoot those on one day. So now I've got my shooting schedule. Day 1, I'm shooting scene 1 and scene 2. I've got a total of 7 shots that I need, and I can even look at these and say, okay, I need one shot of the sky that's a static shot or a tracked motion shot, and I need a second shot of the sky. So I can just do these at the same time. I'll do these first thing in the morning, and then I'll do the rest of the shots after that. Okay, so now I can look and say, okay, here's a shot down the street, down the street, down the street. Okay, these are two sides of the street. So I'm going to shoot shot 1 first and shot 2 3 second, and then go back and shoot shot 1 3, 1 4, and 1 2 based on those angles and all that. All that I just described. That's a day's work sometimes just to sort out that planning, because you're doing all the planning and logistics of where to place the cameras. So when you're shooting a movie, when you're shooting a film, you have multiple scenes in the same location. Tom, that's a good question. Let me come back to that in just a second. So a good example is you have a movie about a young couple that goes on several dates, right? But the young man always picks the young lady up at her place. So, right, that's a repeated trope throughout a film. So instead of going to the location that is her house on set, like, okay, so date 1, we're gonna go shoot him picking her up at her house, and then they go on the date. We're gonna shoot the video of them getting to the restaurant, them getting no. Let's say they go on 5 dates throughout the course of the film, right? He's gonna show up and pick her up at her house at the beginning of each date and drop her off at her house at the beginning of each date. And maybe you have this kind of escalating, the first time he drops her off, they have this kind of awkward moment where they walk away from each other without a kiss, and then the second time they actually kiss, and that kind of escalates as it goes. Well, logistically, you're not going to come back and shoot that in chronological order. It's just, that's ridiculous. You're going to pick, like, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, certain certain sunlight conditions, daylight conditions. This is the time he picks her up. And you're going to shoot 5 scenes worth of her picking her up at the door, and whatever escalation there is, and they'll talk about you're going to shoot all that at one time, and then you're going to have the drop off moment. You're going to shoot all that. You're going to shoot all 5 of those in either 2 or 3 hours, depending on your sunlight conditions, or you're going to shoot all of them on day 1, all of them on day. You're going to shoot them all together, and then in the edit, you're going to put them where they belong chronologically in the film. And that's going to go for every other shot in the film. So just like I just described here, okay, so there's 2 different angles there. I got my insert shot on the French fries and the bar. There's a second scene, scene 4 is still in the bar. So let's say these two happen on the same on 2 different days. I'm still going to shoot them both on the same day because I'm not going to set up all the cameras and come back and tear down the cameras and go shoot something else and then come back and set the cameras up. No, you're going to shoot them all at the same time. So this is an enormously powerful tool for that. Now, Waller asks, how would this improve the training of new video production professionals? And honestly, I don't think that question has a good answer as it's asked. And I'm going to do something to you that I hate to do. Okay. The way you've asked the question, how would this improve the training of new video production professionals? I don't think improve is the right word in this context, Thomas. I think it's better to think of it. I think it's better to formulate the question: how would this transform the training of new video production professionals? So, if you're a cameraman and that's all you do, right? Like I do smaller productions, so a lot of times I'm wearing a dozen hats. We're doing a wedding production. We still have a storyboard, shot list, shooting schedule. It's not the same thing as shooting a movie, but there's a lot of overlap because, like, for one, whenever Cameron and I shoot a wedding, one of the things we do well before the day of the production is we sit down with the couple and we write a shot list with them. So, and that may seem strange, like, see how do I say? Okay, so same thing with a documentary. Let me slow down and organize thoughts for a second. And okay, so when you think about a traditional film, a movie, you've got a script, and the script lays out in detail exactly what's going to happen. We're gonna open up on the new house. We're gonna meet the couple. They're gonna say exactly these lines, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't have a documentary, for example, and this is kind of an escalation of variance from that point. So this setup right here with the shot angles listed scene by scene by scene in this way, this is very much how a film is made, a movie. A documentary, you kind of begin the process by saying, I want to make a documentary about, right? And you might think, okay, well, so you're just going to go shoot stuff, you're just going to go shoot video stuff. No, you do have a script for a documentary, but it's a much more extemporaneous thing. So the way that works is you might just have like a bullet point checklist. Okay, I'm making a documentary about lobster fishermen in Maine. So I'm going to fly up to Maine. I'm going to fly a drone around and take, I'm going to get B-roll pictures of the pier. I'm going to get some far off drone shots of the boats leaving the docks. I'm going to get some close-up shots of lobstermen pulling in nets or traps or however they do. And then I'm going to do interviews. And when I do when you do an interview, you don't just sit down and have a conversation. You kind of, but you're sitting down and you're having a conversation with a checklist. You've got an objective. Okay, I want to ask, how long have you been a lobsterman? Why did you become a lobsterman? Are there any interesting traditions? Et cetera, et cetera. So you will actually have a script. And then you get to something like a wedding video, like I was starting to describe a second ago, and you still have the shot list. Now, we actually end up having 2 shot lists. Cameron and I we spent a lot of time working on how to make this work correctly. We have a boilerplate basic bitch shot list that's just like, okay, obviously you're going to get a shot of the first kiss. You're going to get a shot of the first look. You're going to get a shot of the rings being put on the fingers. You're going to get an angle that you're going to get a close, tight, three-person shot angle of the ceremony, you're going to have a camera over here and a camera over here, so you've got a close-up on the bride and a close-up on the groom. You're going to have, and then you're going to have a fourth shot that kind of shows a wider shot of the whole proscenium of the ceremony with some heads so that you see the audience, and then you're going to have another shot there that looks back at the congregation. So you've got that to cut to. And like there's stuff that you're just gonna get at every wedding. If it happens, like the only way we don't get a shot of the bride and groom cutting the cake is if they've got some kind of weird religious restriction on having cakes. They're opposed to cakes, okay? Right? You know, if there's no champagne toast because they're teetotalers, then you don't get the champagne toast. But otherwise, there's a basic and obvious procedure that goes through. And the way I explain it when we sit down with the couple to write the second shot list, this is the thing that's going to set your wedding apart. Is look, if it doesn't go on the shot list, I cannot guarantee it gets filmed, right? So if you're paying me to come and make a video of your wedding, and I come and shoot the wedding, and your great aunt Margaret flew in from Spokane, Washington, and she's 103, and this is probably the last time anybody's going to see her, and I didn't get any footage of her. Yeah, well, that's because you didn't tell me that she was coming, right? So if if the black shoes that the groom is wearing were his daddy's dress uniform shoes from when he was active duty, and daddy passed away before the wedding, well, I didn't get a special shot of your shoes because you didn't tell me anything. That's what that other shot list is for. So how does the process change? If you're the film guy, or if you're the cameraman, and all you do is run the camera, your job hasn't really changed. The thing that's changed for you is the shot list that you get, the thing that says, these are the shots I want. That's going to be generated here, right? So here we've got 4, 7, 11, 14, 17. Never count live on camera because you might get it wrong. Okay, and that only goes up to 5, so we got 23 shots. So we got 23 shots for what's going to amount to about a ballpark 15 to 20 minute short film. Totally doable. In fact, the hardest thing here would be creating this image, and because this is the only shot in the proposed layout where you actually see the aliens. And honestly, I wouldn't even have to do the makeup for this. I could just, this software currently is not for generating like the final product. There are other programs, but honestly, as AI goes, that's not a bad cut of video right there. So, video production professionals, you're still going to have your gaffer, you're still going to have your electrician, still going to have your cameraman, your makeup department, all those artists, unless you're generating everything with AI, which is possible. But we've seen, there was a movie, that must have been 20 years ago. Final Fantasy. Let me see if I can find a trailer for it, and we can take a look at it. Final Fantasy. We find the Final Fantasy movie trailer. Spirits Within, I think, was the one. This says it was 10 years ago. This cut may have been 10 years ago. This was done. This was supposed to be.
You okay?
And it is good. It is very good CGI.
We found it. We're closing
But
in on the life form.
even the best CGI,
Let's move out,
so you
people.
get the uncanny valley. So right there, right, you got the cars, you got the machine lands, and as the machine lands right there, it's kind of hard to tell. Okay, are they trying to show me an image that's computer generated with the expectation that it is so crisp and so well done that it's difficult for me to or rather it's easy for me to mistake the image for a genuine image? Or are they showing me a cartoon that is closer to photorealistic? But then you get to the actual characters, and this is one of the things you saw, that they cut fast, right? You see a human face and they cut away from it quickly. And they cut away from it quickly. And they made a big deal out of this when it was first released, because it was done with some newer computer technology where they were able to animate the individual hairs. That's asking a lot from a computer to be able to animate, render, and generate in high fidelity the individual hairs on a person's head or face. That's a big deal. But they still had a hard time with the uncanny valley. You look at it and it doesn't matter how well you render the pores, how closely you model the mouth movement and the facial movement and expressions. They did an excellent job, and it's still just a little bit off. And in theory, it always will be. But as far as what that means for production professionals, it means that there will always be a job for somebody to actually operate a physical camera. Practical effects will never be entirely defeated by computer generated images. I don't think they would. I'm normally a big believer in never say never, and nothing is impossible. But I'm not an atheist, right? I'm not. I mean, there is some magic in the world, and that tingle up the back of your neck that you get when somebody's watching, that sudden strange feeling that there's another presence in a room, right? I'm nearly deaf without my hearing aids in, but unless I'm asleep, if somebody walks in the room, I notice. I don't hear them, at least not consciously. There's some other quality, right? In the uncanny valley, when you see an image of a person, when you see a robot that's meant to look human and it just doesn't quite do the trick, you notice, you can tell something's off. Amusingly, Star Trek had the opposite problem with Mr. Data. Brent Spiner did an excellent job of portraying an android without emotion, but he couldn't quite get into the uncanny valley. So even though you knew that he was supposed to be an android, even in costume, even with his face painted so that he was supposed to look artificial, he still wasn't able to shed our perception of his humanity. Even if he was able to very carefully and very well portray it, he couldn't achieve the same uncanny valley feeling of not being human. Now, I've seen some. There was a girl that did this creepy dance thing on America's Got Talent, and it was kind of a mixture between break dancing and uh, the way that the scary ghost girl moved in The Ring. Now, you watch a movie like The Ring, and they break the uncanny valley by using effects to change the rate of speed and the frame rate of the film. There are special effects being used to change how the person moves in such a way that it's not physically possible for a person to actually move that way. Then you see the girl that has practiced and practiced, and it's creepy. I'll give her that. It's creepy as shit. But she still doesn't manage to fall out of the valley. She's still clearly human. As long as these things are true, there will be a job for a cameraman to actually film real people. Um, Now, at the same time, there's a lot of room for, hey, I'm going to make my documentary about lobstermen, and I get to my editing desk after I've flown home from Maine, and it turns out that uh, uh, my drone went through the metal detector and security, and it it erased all the drone footage that I got. Right, for example, hypothetical. So, well, I guess I guess I'm screwed. I don't have any drone images to work with. Well, I can go over here to Project Runway and do, let's do text to video. Uh, I need a wide drone shot of a lobster boat in the bay off of the coast of Maine. We'll take a 10-second shot. In queue, it says it'll be ready in a few minutes. So that'll take a minute to get done. I'm not going to wait for that. Okay, it's going to take a while to generate, but let me see. Uh, so I'll just see if I can find a piece of video of that sort that's already been generated. This is all actual drone footage. That's not what I'm looking for. Anyway, but I think you get my point. Um, there will be, there will be situations like what I just described where, yeah, I'm instead of buying, for my budget for that film, instead of buying another ticket and flying back to Maine, if all I'm looking for is one or two cutaway drone shots that I lost because of airport security, then hell yeah, I'm gonna generate the drone shot, or I'll just buy one. I can always go on and find some stock footage that fits the bill. But bear in mind that when you have to do it that way, you have to use somebody else's stock footage, or you have to use an AI cut. Um, you're not doing your best work. You're putting a band-aid on a problem that would be too expensive to solve correctly. So these tools are not going to improve the training of a new video production professional. It's going to alter it. So your storyboard guys, I think they're still going to have work sometimes. They're still going to have work in the bigger productions. It will make it more difficult for them to break in because in the film world, you kind of you don't really put in job applications. The whole it's who you know thing, that's very true in the film world. If you can get on as a production assistant, and while you're working as a production assistant, you just happen to do more work for the director of photography than the art director, then you might find yourself getting called back to work in the for that same director of photography on a different film with a different art director and working for that DOP, you might find yourself filling in for uh, a second assistant cameraman, which your cameraman runs the camera. Your assistant camera guy changes the lenses and runs the focus. Your second assistant cameraman hands the lenses to the one AC, right? The two AC takes the lens out of the hard case, hands it to the one AC, and then without dropping it, takes the other lens back and carefully puts it away because the lenses are 10 grand a piece when you're working at that level. But that's, so start as a PA fetching coffee for somebody. Somebody happens to be the director of photography, and on the next film he needs somebody to fill in for the 2AC, and the next thing you know, you're working your way up to buying a $150,000 camera, and your job is to show up and push that button. That's kind of how that world happens. So with the AI taking over the lower end jobs, it might make it very difficult to break in, to get that job as, hey, I know it's a low budget film and you can't afford to hire a storyboard artist, but look, I just need to build my portfolio, so I'll do it for free. No, we don't even want you to do it for free because then it's going to take time. But you do a big budget film, especially like a comic book film. Often the storyboards from those end up being sold as art unto themselves. If you go looking for it, see, Marvel storyboard prints. Yeah, Disney Artomania. And they'll sell you prints from the films, right? Some of these are just artistic stuff, but some of these are just straight up that right there is from, that looks like it's a storyboard shot. That's storyboard cut. But yeah, so on larger budget films, the storyboards themselves, each individual frame can easily be sold as a fine art print. And that may complicate just getting work for some of those lower end. But I'm optimistic about the usefulness of this technology as long as it's not abused, but as I'm sure you all know, as you can all surmise, it will be abused. But there should be room to do good things with it for those of us who have the interest and the drive to make it useful. That said, I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it there. Gotta cram all my youngins into the bimbo box and get on down the road to Godin. Y'all be safe out there. Thanks for watching this morning. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.